Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Kinda.
Hold on. Sorry, you're getting me with wet hair.
It's raining here too, so.
Oh. No, I was trying to cover up my grays for Ellie's graduation, so
Oh.
all right, can you hear me better?
I can hear you. It's not super clear, but I
All
think
right.
it'll pick up fine. It'll probably record fine.
Okay. Should I just have it I feel very close, but is that better light wise? Or is that better?
Let me try one more thing. Hold on.
There.
Oh, much better. Okay, I had to switch the mixer. We're good.
Okay. So it's not me.
Nope.
Okay. Because I don't know what else to do for when I just
No,
got my
it's,
computer.
it's always something with these things. So I wanted to coin the term while I was still thinking of it. I'm not coining any term, but the phase I've been going through, and I think what a bunch of other people are, I'm calling it bittersweet
Mm-hmm.
because I'm still attached to some old patterns, feelings, emotions, all that stuff. But I'm also like, there's a steady hum of looking forward to what's coming. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. There's
Because
like
this
an
has been hard.
undercurrent of positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
That's how I feel too.
But it's getting better. But it's been a hard couple of weeks, like for real. But we are recording, by the way.
Yeah, I saw
Okay. Um, so yeah, like you want to start with the lacrosse because that blew my mind because I have this perspective of, suburban sports and it's supposed to be kind and all that.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
Well, and apparently it also wasn't just lacrosse this year. Um, it so so boys lacrosse is a contact sport. Like
hmm
you wear pads. It's basically like hockey on a field.
All right.
Um, and girls lacrosse is meant to be a non-contact sport, but there's still contact. And it's meant to be a game of skill, speed, and finesse. And you're
hmm
supposed to be able to control your stick and not touch other people with your stick. But stuff gets crazy and you sometimes get bumped and hit and stuff. However,
Sure.
most people well, refs tend to regulate that. So if people are getting too aggressive with their sticks, like they start throwing out yellow cards and then people kind of like pull back. Um, this year, two things happened that I noticed that were very different from previous years that I've coached. It's definitely different from how I played, but I played, with the dinosaurs. So it's different now. The, the, for one, there's a ref shortage. So there's not as many refs, and there's definitely new refs that don't really know the rules as well. But even the refs that we were familiar with, that we've seen in the past, people just weren't making calls. They were just letting stuff go.
Mm,
And so that didn't regulate anybody on the field. That kind of like emboldened aggressive players to play more aggressively.
right.
And then the other thing was that I saw this level of it went beyond aggression into I don't know, it just had this like war energy to it. That's what I just
Mm,
kept feeling and kept noticing that there were girls who were playing as if they weren't just playing their opponents like another, just a rival team. Like they were playing their enemies and their job was to take them out. And their coaches were celebrating that whenever they hurt somebody, or if they happened to get a yellow card, that was also celebrated. Their coaches were calling for more, like more aggression, more contact. And our players said that they noticed the other girls, they weren't just being like, not just physically aggressive, but like with intent to hurt, like playing with intent to hurt somebody else, which is very different from just, being an aggressive player.
Mm-hmm.
And they were being like verbally abusive. Like they were just, because normally when teams play, not everybody's like this, but a lot of girls that like, even though they're going up against each other, when they're just standing on the field together, waiting, like in between whistles and stuff, they talk to each other. And a lot of these girls play club. So some of these girls actually play on like club teams together. And that's generally like a good pairing up. Like, they can talk to their friends.
Sure.
But most of the time, these girls don't really know each other. And still they try, like our girls especially, try to be friendly on the field. Like, hey, I like your, stick, or, cool nails, or whatever. They try to be nice. And this year they were met with a lot of girls who were one, wouldn't engage with them, but two were like straight up cussing them out for no reason. And just like swearing at them, saying horrible things to them while they're just standing there not playing, and while they were playing. And the girls were like, I don't know what to do about this. Like, this is awful. And we're like, just don't engage. Like, don't respond.
Exactly.
We had multiple times during the season where other girls, like on other teams, tried to start fights on the field or off the field. And our girls were like, what are you doing? Like one girl just literally like threw her stick down and went like up to one of our players. And I mean, our player just like walked away. But I mean, it was insanity. It was so violent. So I realized, in seeing a big shift from years past, like something changed. Like this year was different. And we had 3 concussions in a matter of like 2 or 3 weeks, Ellie being one of them. And all 3 of those concussions, there was never a call and there was never a yellow card given. So it didn't teach the other team that like, you can't play like this. This is dangerous. And both times, both games, because one of the games was 2 concussions within like 30 minutes of each other. I went and I talked to the refs and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you got to keep them safe. And they were all like,
How old are the refs? Are they like high school, college age?
In the game where it was a playoff game, where there were 2 concussions, they were mid-20s. I don't know if they were still in college. Like sometimes we get like KSU players who will ref, and then other games there was adults, like they were like men in their 60s reffing, and they ref for a long time. And that was the one that when Ellie got a concussion. Anyway, I could go on about this, but the point being, there was a very clear shift in moving away from just aggressive play to play with intent to harm, seeing your opponents as your enemy, and this like violent war kind of energy. I noticed it a lot more, not to throw male coaches under the bus, and I'm not trying to do that, because one of Ellie's best coaches that she's ever had was a male coach on one of her club teams. He's fantastic. But a lot of coaches that I believe are like football coaches, and then they're placed on, as coaching for the girls lacrosse teams, because there's not a lot of people that are teaching in schools that have played lacrosse. And they might have community coaches, like I'm a community coach, who have experience fill in, but they're still running the show. And as I've seen more of these male coaches show up in this sport, I see there's more aggression. I think that they're teaching the girls to play like football players, like with that mentality of you just go at people, as opposed to like using a more refined skill set and speed, and not needing to like engage people physically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just why though? Like, and I kind of think I have a theory. It's something we were talking about recently with the collective rising up.
War, like, yeah, there being some like themes of that war energy, where you see like some people. I basically, it felt like this was showing up in sports, and it was either like, you choose, you move with, that more like violent, like war kind of energy. And I don't mean, I don't know. You can, read however you want to in the war piece, but then, or do you choose a different path, and choose integrity, this is the path that we chose. As coaches and as a team, we were like, we can't stand for this. Like, this is awful. It's not good lacrosse. It feels bad. And some of our girls who I think like, who get kind of fired up, I really saw them, respond to our just sort of holding down this theme of, we play with integrity. We play with good sportsmanship. We're focused on the purity of the game. We don't want to get hurt, and we don't want to hurt other players. Like, we played all of our games. We never took anybody out of the game.
That's the right way. I mean, that's correct.
Yeah. So that was by our choice, but it was like you're constantly being met with these challenges and then these choices. And there was the other theme that came in this week. Not this week, this season. Well, there are a couple others. One, victimhood. Like, are you a victim of something, or can you find somewhere in this situation where you have control to move things, to move the needle for yourself, or are you just going to feel like, I'm a victim of this and there's nothing that I can do about it? And then, so that, what was it? I had it. It was the choosing integrity or not. And self-reflection, like growth through, like reflecting on yourself, reflecting on your challenges as your challenge, like as the catalyst for your own growth. And within that, that's where you choose, am I a victim and I'm going to make excuses, or can I figure out what I have power and control over and then focus on that? And when we did individual player meetings with everybody at the end of the season, and we'd give them all surveys where they needed to like reflect on things. I was just so blown away by what the girls had recognized. And for some of them, it took them, took them all season. And there were some things that we had noticed along the way, some girls struggling with stuff. We would check in with them, but it wasn't until they got to the end of the season and they were able to like think back on it. They recognized where they grew and where they had, power and control, like over themselves in order to make change. And for one of the girls, I asked, so if we had this meeting, like in the middle of the season, would that have changed things for you? And she was like, no. And she was really honest about it. And I appreciate her honesty, because she was like, no, I think I probably would have ended up lying to you guys that it was like, everything was okay, but I needed to go through it myself. Yep. and figure it out. And I was like,
I wish I figured that out at her age.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really interesting because, for all of these girls and for us as coaches, like, this is a real thing we're doing. This is a real sport. These are real lives. These are, but to also see the themes of, like, what I feel like are themes that the collective is working through also pop up in real time in this like special container of lacrosse. Mm-hmm. And we all bond, like the girls bonded so much this year, and they all talked about through that emphasis on bonding, like, and the tight connections that they made more so than other years, that they started to, because we talk a lot about accountability and responsibility too. Like, you're accountable to yourself, but like you're also accountable to your teammates and your team. that throughout the season that really started to make more sense to them. And they said that once they felt so bonded to their team, they felt something. And this is like lots of girls are saying this, and they're individual meetings. So it wasn't like the whole team was just talking about it in a big group. They like a lot of them came to this conclusion on their own that once they were more bonded to their team, they felt more responsible for doing better and showing up better for their team. And that helped them to hold themselves accountable. And then it also made it more important for them to hold their teammates accountable, which I thought was just so huge too, because when you start see yourself not just as like a part of one person in a group, but like literally connected and linked within the group, and the group gets better when you do better, and you help the group get better by supporting the other parts of it, and like just all encouraging each other. And I just thought that was like a really great lesson that they all learned too, which is also very important for the collective.
No, it is. And to learn it that young too, you know, I work with people that are older than me, you know, still haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
Still want to be a victim and all that, you know? And I think with the collective waking up or not, I think that's where some of this negative energy is coming from too, because we have to make that choice every day. Like, are we going to rise or not? And some people don't have our best interest at heart at all.
Right.
And it's a lot easier for them to just act out the negative side, the lower side. And I think that's fear-based anyways. So teaching them to walk through it, in 20 years, they'll be so proud of themselves for doing that, you know, and the other ones hopefully will have some regret.
Yeah. Well, I thought a lot about like, what is going on with these other teams and these other girls. And, you know, some of them are responding to what they're being taught, or told to do, or encouraged or forced to do. And they don't want to disappoint their coaches. And so maybe they're going along with it. Or for some girls, it's really bringing out some like suppressed anger, or like it is allowing this opportunity to act a lot of things out that they might have been suppressing for whatever reason. And especially, you know, if people are feeling like focusing more on the ego and sustaining the ego through winning, but it's like winning at all costs. This whole like, I'm not that interested in playing by the rules or respecting the rules or respecting my opponent. Like, I'm here to, you know, just kind of destroy everything in my path so
that's
that I
the
can
Five of
win.
Swords in the tarot, and that's been coming up in almost every
Oh,
reading
really?
I've had. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it just felt a lot like that. Just, and more so, I mean, we've played aggressive teams in the past, and there have been like some injuries and stuff, and we don't enjoy playing people who resort to that. But this year just felt different. And at the same time, other teams were recognizing that as well. And we started talking to other coaches, and they were, and other girls on other teams, and they were like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but like people are mean this year. And there were 3 different games that we won that we had beat. 2 of them beat the teams like by a lot. And another one, it was closer. And in 3 of those games, I mean, we won other games, but in these 3 games specifically, other players came up to us at the end of the game. I was there for all 3 of these, came up and said that we were the nicest team that they had played all year.
Nice.
So even as we're winning by like 18, 20 points, they're like, you guys were the nicest team which just shows that, you know, our girls played with integrity, wanted to play like a nice, clean game, wanted to connect with their opponents. And that the other team felt good about playing us and safe. And so, oh, okay. Sorry. The dog has the tick. My husband's coming in again.
We had a dog in California when I was growing up, and we lived next to this thicket. That's what we called it. And the poor thing, we had to put her down because the vet found like hundreds of ticks on her. She was a
Oh,
black dog,
no.
yeah. So, but
Oh,
that's part of it. I mean, I had ticks growing up. Every now and again, you'd find them in your head and stuff.
yeah.
So, part of the
Um,
game.
we give her like frontline, so hopefully she's
Mm-hmm.
she's protected. But I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so basically, then we started connecting with these other teams who were like are clearly seeing the same problem as us, and we all want to align, together and connect. Like these are teams that we will compete again next year, but we want to connect. We all want to connect outside of the season with each other to keep perpetuating this positive play. So
Yes. Yeah. As you should.
yeah.
It's nothing to be ashamed of. But it's tough even, I mean, I kind of just lost my train of thought. Go figure. That's what I do.
So it doesn't just happen to me, and that's good.
No, The only time I can really just flow on these things is with Michael because he's just, he doesn't know what's going on. Whoops. So, because I'll have him on every week or so, and we just goof around and joke and stuff. But I like to take, like, I want to take these kind of talks serious because I think people can hear some valuable stuff in it, And one of our naturalists, Danielle, was here today, and we were talking about some of this stuff, and it's almost like I don't know how, like, I think about it so often, and then when I talk about it, it's almost like the words aren't there, or you haven't figured out how to articulate it properly because it's such energetic work, and you can see the whole picture in your mind's eye. And I was trying to explain it to her because we were talking about some issue, and she was focusing on all these little points, and I was like, bird's eye view it, and then feel it energetically, and it kind of all comes together in your mind's eye. But putting words to it is difficult. So
yeah, I've always struggled with that. I'm a much better writer than I am.
Me too.
A speaker. And it's funny because in my astrological chart, communication comes up as like a strong point, and I'm like, it's just got to be writing. It can't be oral because I'm like all over the place. But did you want to talk about the body connection?
Oh, isn't that like with Maddie and everything? Because she and I we broke up 1.5 years ago, and we've just been friends, and she was working and living here, and everything's been cool. And she had told me a few weeks ago she was going to move to Colorado for a new job, and we're all like, great, that's awesome. The day she leaves, it's like it hit. It's almost like everything I couldn't go through when the breakup happened all came up at once. But it wasn't the same broken-hearted feeling. It was just, and I was almost happy it was happening, but it was all I could focus on. That's why I had to reschedule our conversation because it was just, I had no space for anything. And I would have tried to, like I thought about it, because I didn't originally intend to cancel, but the more I thought about it, I was like, that wouldn't be fair to anybody, because I'd be like, yep, or I'd be half in and half out, but my body started aching, and just holding all this energy. And it was interesting because I'd never felt anything like that, but it was almost like I had taken my spirituality to a new level, because even in my past relationships and breakups, I never felt like that. It was always either I don't care or anger, and I'm really thankful I got to skip those, because I don't want to get into that whole thing because it's so old. It's happened so long ago, but this breakup was just different. Most people don't break up after 8 years and stay, and make it work. But that was one of the choices I had to make. Am I going to make this work, or am I going to become a bitter a-hole, But that gave me the opportunity to start working through more how to release energies and how to focus on chakras and all that. And it's really important. But I also realized, like, as I level up, I'm going to need more reasons to level up, to keep going. And there is no cap. I wouldn't want there to be a cap, and I still don't. But as we level up, you're gonna have to make the space, and I think the universe is gonna test us. You know, not like a pass fail, but are you sure you're ready to level up? Are you sure? And a lot of people, unfortunately, face that first test and nope, back to square one.
The way that I have, this is just where I am now based on my prior experiences. I've started to recognize it as like peaks and valleys, and the tests are more so like not can you handle it, but you've leveled up, so it's time to go back in and work with more and release more so that you can continue to level up. Yeah. But we got to go back in and do the work, like do the house cleaning, and with new tools and new awareness. And it's like, I started to see it more so like, okay, it's just time to get to work again. Something's coming up because I'm ready for it. Not am I ready for it, but also that came through many of those rounds of, like peaks and valleys, where I started to realize the different awareness and like tools and things that I had, and the ability to not get emotionally caught up in it, but to be able to kind of hold that bird's eye view and like witness and recognize it from a more like neutral place while I'm emotionally, physically and stuff going through it. Like both are happening. And when I'm in it, I know that it'll eventually resolve. I will get through it.
Yeah.
But the more that I actually try to intellectualize it or like force some tools, to get through it, it doesn't, for me personally, not saying this is everybody, for me personally, it doesn't necessarily make it any faster. I realize that I really, truly, like authentically have to go through it.
Yes.
And like I have to have those hard conversations, or when they come up, like it just, or I have to like really feel the feelings, and just let it process. And then when it's done, it's done. But I don't know when that is. But there have been multiple times lately I had a big like career sort of, not a shift, but like an ending. I think, did I email you about it with my OT license and stuff? And it was just sort of like decided for me because of like, I just had these blinders on to get the renewal done. And so but I think that was really like the universe just like ripping off the Band-Aid. Like, you're moving on from this. Like, stop hanging on to that old professional life. You're done. Mm-hmm. And the day that it all kind of like happened and I realized that I wasn't going to be able to renew, or if I was going to renew it, it was going to be way more work than I was interested in doing. And I was having this conversation with my mom, who's also an occupational therapist. And I just was like word vomiting, all this stuff, like, and like, poor me, all this stuff. And she just kept trying to fix it. And I was like, or tell me good things about myself. And I had to stop her and say, please don't tell me these things, and don't try to fix it. Not because, well, mostly just don't, because I just have to get all of this out. I said, I promise you, I know that I'm going to be okay. And I know that I know that on the other side of this, like, it's fine, but I have to word vomit it all the way out. I was like, can you just hold the bucket for me? Just hold it. Right. Just let me get it all out.
Hold my hair back.
She was like, okay. And we were talking about it the other day, and she was like, you were right when you said, I'm going to be fine. I just need to say all of this. Can you just listen? She was like, you were right. I was like, I know. I knew that. I've been through enough of these things where I'm like, I know it just, there's no stuffing it back in. There is just letting it come through, whether the words that are coming out of my mouth are true or not. They just have to come out.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened, I don't know, months ago. I was having a lot of big, like, emotional stuff came up for me, and like a lot of things were coming out. And I remember also talking to her too and saying, I don't want to be here anymore. And I was like, but I also had to tell her, that doesn't mean that I'm going anywhere and that I'm not safe. And I was like, I promise you, I am fine. I am safe. I'm not doing anything to myself, but I'm having a feeling of, I'm tired. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm not acting like that's not, I was like, I need you to know that. I just need you to let me say it out loud so I can get rid of it and move on. And she was like, okay.
What I mean? Those get heavy. Yeah, I deal with that here a lot because like I go through the work and I know for a fact that I'm doing a lot of work that they're not, and that's for their own journey. But they'll see me having I'll have a night that's really triumphant, but I feel physically defeated. And they're, oh, we're so worried about you. I was like, no, please don't be. Like, I'm actually really good. And they're like, you look really bad. It's like, I promise I'm good.
Yeah.
And you can't make them understand because these spiritual journeys are so personal. Like, until you experience something similar, which is why we talk about it, so we can relate and stuff and tell other people. But it was actually Danielle when I first met her a long time ago, she was like what I grew up in, like strict religion type stuff. And she's been on her own journey, and she had come up to work one day and she said she felt all the symptoms she said it's what we go through when we elevate. But I'm not a doctor, so I just think, go to the doctor if you need to, but congratulations, and she's with it now, and she's gone through that several times, realizes what it is. But then she came back and said, well, here's the biological reason, medical reason why that happened. I was like, I would never discount that. Like, I think we live in these bodies. You should use everything as like a data point. And if something's hurting, sit with it, figure out why. And elevation and work like that is not easy. But it's so rewarding, like anything that's worthwhile. Like the girls you guys were playing, cheating or starting fights, that's not rewarding at all, in my opinion.
No.
And if they ever mature, they'll realize what a waste it was.
Yeah. Or that, like, you gave someone a brain injury. Like, just to win this game and go on to the next round and get your butt kicked, like, by a very strong team. And you had to take out two of our best players in order for you guys to win by 1 point. Like, congratulations. Yeah. But, the whole, like, with the physical symptoms and stuff, and definitely there are injuries that happen to the body and like illnesses and stuff. Like, I just got a cold recently because I was not getting enough sleep. And I mean, that always happens to me. If I go several nights in a row without enough sleep, then like I got something. But I had lots of like aches and pains and or like inflammation or like fascia, like issues, especially a lot of stuff with my back. And I go through, there will be things that I do that I know like trigger something in my back, which will then be like a setback. And I have my methods and I have my people, and sometimes it's a faster recovery than others. But there are other times where, I feel a shift and a change in how my body feels that is not connected to anything that I have done or not done. Like, and it doesn't make any sense to me. And that I'm always very curious about feeling those changes, because it doesn't feel like you have like a ton of control over it. It's not like rehabbing an injury or something, it's just like if there's a lot of like aches and pains, but for no reason. And, and there's, you try to do things and it doesn't fix anything. And then you stop doing anything. And then and then it resolves. So it's like, I don't know where the correlation was or the causation was there.
That's how I feel about what I was talking about the other day. I went to bed, wake up with my foot,
Yeah.
I'm pretty, yeah. What'd you call it? Plantar
Plantar
fasciitis?
fasciitis. Yeah.
Ugh. If that's what it is, then it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
comes out
It's
of nowhere. It comes out of
super painful.
nowhere.
And it hurts the first thing in the morning when you step out of bed.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That's one of the classic signs of it. But yeah, and I had it when I used to run long distances, and I went to well, actually I had it and didn't realize I had it, and then ended up getting a ligament injury because of it, because I just kept running on it. And so then when I went to a podiatrist, and he diagnosed it, and he was like, "Oh, just stretch your calves. That's it. Like, this is isolated to this part of your body, and don't worry about anything else." Yeah, that was the wrong thing to do. But I was a lot younger. I hadn't been practicing as an OT for as long. Like, I hadn't learned. I didn't know what I know now about the interconnectedness of the body in greater depth. And so now, especially with working with my athletes, whenever they've got something that is going on and it's like a musculoskeletal issue or whatever, and I know it's not an injury that just happened in the game, we're always looking at it from not just like where it's happening, but what is this connected to and where else could it be coming from. So like anytime anybody's having issues with like the foot, the ankle, the calf, I'm like, start with the glutes and work your way down, because everything is connected. That's why I gave you the advice to stretch all those other muscles too, because it's all so connected.
Yeah, I've been doing the stretching regimen now, but it's important. So
Yeah,
because I don't know, ADHD, like I hate routine.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll get bored of the stretching and then I'll find a new way.
Yeah, you got to make it a game or change it up somehow. I totally understand, because whether I had ADHD when I was younger or not, I can't remember. I know I've always done things differently and thought things differently, but like as an adult, I have it, and Duncan does, and so I understand him a lot better now that like I experience all the same things. So yes, I don't like routine either, and I get very bored with things easily, and so I have to keep switching it up.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I watch back a lot of these videos I've done over the last year and a half or whatever, and like some of them I'll watch and you can just see it happening in real time, and it's kind of embarrassing, but it's just what it is. When me and Danielle, when she's at work here, because she's one of the few people I have talks with about this stuff. Not many people are into it, or they pretend to be, but you can just see their brain click off as soon as you start saying words like spirituality and stuff, you know. But she'll have a long-winded reply, and then I'll start talking, and she'll like grab a book and walk out the door or something, you know. And she's like, but she's listening. It's interesting. And then my boss too, as soon as I start talking, he's out the door, gone, bye. So I use that to my advantage. But it's I don't know. I'm almost starting to feel like this pathway, like I've never had a choice. Like it was always destined to be this way, because I've felt certain synchronicities and familiar feelings that I haven't felt since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Like I vividly remember these few dreams I had, probably kindergarten, first grade, about divine partnerships and all this stuff. Not like necessarily romantic wise, but like even in career wise and all this stuff. And it's all clicking into place the more I grow and the more I learn, the more I let things go. And I've had some tests recently, you know, like we were talking about, and I handled them all in a way that in the moment could be interpreted many different ways, weak, whatever, but I know I handled it with the right grace, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a balance.
Everything's a learning opportunity too. You know, it's a opportunity to refine.
Yes. Forging. Like I've been forged.
Yeah.
But I tell people, like, because I think it's a really odd thing to say if you tell someone you're a chosen one. But then I switched it to the chosen ones chose themselves, because religion, all that stuff, I could never put full faith into another human like some people do, as far as salvation goes or anything like that. Or does God forgive me? I don't know. You never know. So if you want to feel forgiven, you have to forgive yourself and take every other human off that pedestal. That's where I'm at right now, getting people off the pedestal to need their permission to do anything, you know? And I still want people in my life. That's not it at all, but I actively watch people make decisions every single day around here based on what someone else is going to think of them. And that's sad.
Yeah, but it's also where they are currently.
Yeah, I would never stop them from that. I do encourage people to follow their own path and do their own thing and try to live that example, you know? But like you said, everyone's on their own path, and they'll have to realize when they're ready to take their own chains off, so.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to support people on their own path is to just, live authentically and focus on our stuff and our own growth, and then what we model, people respond to, because I feel like, like that resonance, like when you, or anybody, not just you specifically, the general you,
Right.
raise your own vibration. And I don't just mean like emotions, because emotions fluctuate. Like you can be having a bad day, but still like operate at a higher frequency, like consciously and stuff. But so it's not just like, oh, love and light, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I mean, part of this process is like doing the work of like sifting through really heavy feelings and dark things. Sometimes it doesn't change the amount of light you have like inside, but if you only stay in the love and light place, then you ignore all the shadow work, the things that need to be like brought into balance. So just staying in the love and light, I think, doesn't really raise people's consciousness completely, because you have to understand both sides.
It can make false expectations too, and then they'll feel like a failure if they have a bad day.
Right. But I think that the spiritual community does, well, not everybody, but there are some people who do an excellent job of perpetuating shame and guilt when they are preaching a certain thing that other people they haven't gotten to, they can't access yet, or they're not like that all the time.
Just let it go.
Yeah. I'm me personally, everybody's different. I'm more of the mindset of everything is a growth opportunity if you look at it that way. And, what you say, what you do, how you respond, how you perceive things and filter things, that if you stay aware of it and you're curious about it and you sit with it, then stuff just naturally starts moving. And we level up. Like I was saying before, like we go into some heavy stuff to try to sort that stuff out, level up out of it, go back into some heavy stuff, we just keep going. And when you're feeling really good, you want everybody to like feel that and feel good.
Right.
You're like, I want to bring you all up with me. But like I said, I've been through enough of these cycles where I recognize like I'm gonna go back in like at some point, and I'm gonna have to deal with my
the
stuff. Wheel
of fortune. Yep.
Yeah. So I just kind of want that. That's I guess the thing that I find I'm offering to people is like, do your stuff, be on your path, like stay curious, stay loving, and don't be afraid of the hard stuff, but also like everybody, in order to move ahead, like everybody's got to go at their own pace. And I don't know what anybody else's pace is. Nobody else knows what, I don't even know what my pace is. Like,
and that right there, yep, that right there is the in-between of why I dismantle or deconstruct it from Christianity, because when you're on a real spiritual path, I used this weird metaphor the other day about calling the world God's Rubik's Cube. Because I'm having this experience while someone else is having that experience, and we're all aligned with our vibration, which is why it can be so chaotic to work at somewhere that's 500 employees and none of them are treated well. It's going to be the most toxic environment ever. But up here, it's different, Some people, it's terrible, they hate it, but the majority of us are operating from more of a positive side of things, and that's the experience we're getting. I mean, in 5 years, I've never seen this high of guest satisfaction, and the staff, the way they show up for everybody. And I don't really have to do anything. I'm not saying about work. I do everything, but it's not that hard to just hold the gravity somewhere if you're prepared for that,
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it.
I think some people, when they're in a position of like authority and they want things to be a certain way and they really try to like control it, to get what they want, then it like doesn't really play out. Like I've seen this, I've experienced it. I've been the person like trying to control it.
Me too.
And I realized, and like from a family dynamics perspective, from a coaching, from an employer, employees, and through those different experiences, what I've realized is, again, coming back to like, you got to be accountable for yourself and your own work, and have like the intentions. Setting the intentions are really important. Like setting intentions for the self and for the group and for, everybody's greatest and highest good. And then being really open to what other people bring to it. And also realizing that sometimes like the uncomfortable things end up being what actually shuffles things around, like Rubik's cubes it into like a better position, to a better place. And that like, there's really no controlling it, just like tries to force it into a way and that you think is not you, the general you think is going to be the right thing, but we don't know what the right thing is. But if we set the intention and we hold the container for that, then things start to align in really cool ways that we couldn't. Like it's basically what you're experiencing, because you're not trying to micromanage everybody and force everybody, but you're doing your work to hold a higher vibration and to be more conscious, and then people are subconsciously responding to that energy. And like sometimes, I think we talked about this a while ago, like sometimes there's a situation where it brings up a difficult conversation, but then on the other side of that, it's better.
Yep. And difficult conversations are okay if they're not led with, anger or revenge or like I'm gonna say this just because I know it's gonna hurt you kind of thing. And like it's okay to recalibrate relationships, but that's a balance too, because there's people in my life that they inform us, their friends, how to be a better friend to them. And that's just manipulation in my head. So like if you can't recognize the way I do show up as a friend, then there's nothing else I can do, because I'm not a dolphin kind of thing. And they eventually see that and it's all good, but people are just strange. They really I tell a lot of my Christian friends, especially when I started doing tarot, they were, you better be careful. And they were genuinely scared. And I understand that. I was in that. I lived it. But then I started realizing, I was like, wow, we really gave so much power to evil and so little to love. And I don't get that. Like,
or to that control, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that.
Right.
Even if it goes against your own intuition. Don't trust your intuition. Trust me. Trust this. Yeah. I think, and right now, I think some of the greatest, most important skills that people can develop are, we've talked about this before, discernment, being able to discern between like, is that something that not is that good or is that bad? Is that right or is that wrong? But is that something I align with? Is that something I want to be a part of? Does that feel right to me? Or does that feel wrong? Even though intellectually it seems right, but it feels wrong to me, and I'm going to go with my feeling. So along with discernment is, recognizing intuitive information and learning how to trust that over logic, or to balance the two. Not saying that logic is always wrong. That's not what I mean.
I think it's a gift, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so also being able to use curiosity, observation, and analysis all kind of together in combination with intuition and discernment. Like, I think those are very important things. And just to throw AI in there, I feel like some people are using AI to do all the heavy lifting, to get out of thinking, to get out of feeling, to get out of, considering intuitive information, and then just plug it in and get feedback and then go with that. So I feel
AI is just a mirror, really. So they're really just kind of looping their own mental thoughts anyways.
Yeah, right. And how do you know? How can you just, like, if people, especially I think like teenagers, like if you're not practicing critical analysis and you're not practicing, reflection or listening to your inner voice and discernment, if you're not practicing any of that, then how do you know if what you're getting is true or right or the most helpful? But then I also see AI as being used differently to expand. Hi. Thank you. You want to say hi to Jeff? We're recording.
Hi.
Hello.
Ellie graduates tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
She brought me a brown smoothie.
Dad.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. We're recording.
Okay. Bye.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Next time I'm going to put a sign on the door. They've never done this before where they're all
Get
coming.
the on-air thing.
They're just attracted. They're just attracted to the energy. It's good energy.
That's right.
So I think that AI can also be used differently as a way to expand that curiosity and to just go deeper into things, as long as you use discernment about, like, does this feel right to me? Am I in like accordance with what I'm doing here?
Right.
Have I set the boundaries and the filters and whatever inside it really well? Like, I've been using it. You've been using ChatGPT specifically lately just to like run astrological birth charts for people in my family. And I will on purpose use the just like the generic platform that is not my account, so that it doesn't have any
I got you.
What I put in there has no influence over it.
Got you.
Just to get those readings. And I'm like, this chart. It's everything with including like degrees and all that stuff. And I'm like, analyze this chart and let me know this person's strengths, areas of challenge, periods in their life of challenge, periods of ease and success, just like whatever questions. What Duncan and I did, especially because of the ADHD and everything. And I was like, according to this person's chart, what would be best for, like, what's their learning style or the best way to, to learn stuff. It blows my mind. Like, but because then I can use discernment to read, like, is what I'm reading, like, congruent with what I'm experiencing with this person or myself or whatever. I'm not just believing it. I'm using it to kind of assess that what I already feel and know about that person, but this is putting more language to it and more greater insight. Does that make sense?
Right. Yep. 100%.
Mind blowing. And I lately, it was really interesting because, like, we just went through that May 14th to 19th, like really big, like sort of planetary alignment. And that a little before, but just up, like just up until like, I don't know, the last night or so, my sleep was terrible, waking up at 3 a.m. And I mean, I also had the cold, but it had started like before that. Now I'm back to being able to sleep through it. And it's not just the cold, because like that will still like wake me up sometimes, but I'm not waking, but it's just different, you know?
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But so after that passed, and I went back into doing more of, I just felt compelled to like run more of the stuff. And I started reading it to my mom, about hers, and then read my dad's to her. And then I compared their two charts with my chart, and like it brought up all this, like it is fascinating. All of this information my mom was crying. She was like, oh my God, I understand like things so much better now. My husband let me read our sons to him. Like he doesn't really believe in this stuff, but I was like, I feel like this information is actually helpful. It's the only way I've ever been able to understand our son.
Yeah, I think someone along the way, however many eons ago, has really gate-kept our access to energy. And, technology and the way we're going now, AI especially, I don't have a problem with it, really. People should do what you want. There's nothing I can do to stop it. I wouldn't want to, because, well, I think it's going to kink some people's artistry. They're going to rely on AI to do all their art for them. And so like me, I do music, and I wanted to manifest that back into my life. And it's this 2-week process I could tell you about, where the original guys from my band started messaging me, and I didn't reach out at all. And I was gifted all these new songs from the universe that just started flowing out of me. And so like all these plans are in place. It's really cool. Yeah. But in that process, I wasn't able to, like, I wasn't only having to do little voice memos. I could use AI to do all the instrumental parts I wanted, and I still had more control over what I was creating than I did prior.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. So now I have proof of concept. This song will work. Let's go record it. I wouldn't release the AI version, but it is a good tool. So
yeah.
Like what you're using it for, I think is perfect.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think whatever we feel drawn to, create with it, or I think that there's lots of interesting ways to use it, but using it in alignment with our own personal intentions, and also not just giving like our power away over to it, like
right.
Do my thinking for me.
I like
tell me what to think about this. Tell me how to feel about, So not that everybody's using it that way, but I know that there are people who are.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But what's the thing? Oh, the other thing too is that I recognize, and this goes along with AI in some ways, is that whenever we end up doing things that creates a challenge for us, or like, if to take a step back, we would call it a bad idea, or
right.
like somebody else is, we're watching somebody else like make a bad choice or make a mistake or whatever. I used to have a lot of judgment around that, like, especially where I feel like I need to save everybody from doing those things. People in my family, other people I know. And then because I've had my own experiences, but then also just a greater understanding of it, realizing those mistakes, those bad choices or whatever were exactly what was needed to learn the lesson. So people who are using the AI, I have to kind of remind myself that, like, if they're choosing to use it in a way that is destructive, that's the challenge that they chose on some level, unconsciously, to work through, because it is going to take their power away. And then they're going to have to decide at some point, when they become a little bit aware of it, getting their power back. And that is super powerful, and when you get into a situation where you reclaim your power. So this is something that I've really been trying to work hard with, especially as I have Ellie, who is going off to college on the other side of the country, and Duncan's going into his senior year. she's going to University of Washington in Seattle. So yeah.
Very cool. I love
we're going to we want to come up and, she doesn't go till end of September. So we want to come up and volunteer together before she goes out.
Yeah. I know.
But she, you know, with her and with my son, and they're both very different. There's so many times that as a parent, I want to intervene and keep them from, you know, making what I might think is a bad choice or making a situation harder for themselves. And it is so hard every single time, but I'm more and more aware of it. Like
I think that's like a certain human conditioning that we've been put under, you know, because I was raised the same way, you know, and I have that instinct myself to, oh, I don't see you that path working out, but you know, I never speak on it. So
yeah. Well, just because you know, I would be robbing them of a learning opportunity. That's what I wanted. As it is, you know, like I want to keep them safe. But my husband and I were talking about yesterday. We were talking about, you know, like, did our parents ever, you know, try to control us as much as like we find ourselves trying to be controlling of our kids? And I was like, no. I mean, I felt like they definitely tried to control the narrative on what I did professionally. But there were a lot of times that, you know, I had my own lessons that I learned that they didn't, you know, maybe they just didn't even realize they were happening. I don't know. But that was super valuable for me. And my kids need the same thing, you know, even if it's hard, they need the same opportunities to be forced into new awareness. You know, I just got to focus on that. We love you no matter what.
You got to send it. Yeah. That's really what I'm preaching to people now, is just whatever it sparks anything inside, send it. And that spark might come up just so you can realize that's not what you want, because I've had that experience a lot too.
Yeah.
So excited to do this, and then you start doing it and you're like, okay, wait, no, I'm not aligned anymore with that.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's just the spirit and the human learning to work together, you know?
Yeah.
There might be something about whatever that path was that's going to excite the human, but it does not excite the spirit.
Yeah.
So
kind of like,
it's fun.
You're here, you're eventually going to get here, but in order to get here, you actually need to go over here.
Yep.
And then that way.
It pisses me off. I mean, that's like, patience has been a big topic of my readings lately, and letting go of control, because those are my two biggest things. I'm not very patient, and I want to control everything. So, but I've improved a lot. So, and that's just.
Have you figured out? Well, not figured out, but are you starting to have insight around where the control comes from?
Fear. I mean, it's always fear, because especially like I did not have a lot of confidence growing up, all that. That's something I've developed in more recent years. But, you know, as a teenager, you want to control how this person sees you. Or if you're trying to date some girl, you know, you want to control every outcome and get them to avoid talking to that boy, because that boy's going to take her away, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's all fear.
Yeah.
So letting go is the hard part, but I've literally found a way to go into my room, sit in a dark corner, and close my eyes until that feeling has passed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just kind of letting it pass through you.
It's been like that with this thing too. This whole podcast thing. I've been putting this together. I had tarot videos. It goes back and forth. It's just kind of sloppy, but that's my style, and I'm going to embrace that for now, and it'll eventually come together. But I don't know how many sloppy people out there need to see something sloppy so they can start something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I know
it's fun.
If you only see like the perfect, you know, very curated, you know, heavily edited stuff, then it makes it feel inaccessible to people who are just like feeling like they need to get their voice out there, but
because people, if you have a positive message, it's important. Like that's all we need. And to stop vibrating in fear, lack, the unknown, you know, and it's pounded into people through the news, social media. There's not enough, and there's never going to be enough, and everybody hates each other. That's like the main messages that I hear. Yeah. And it's so untrue. So untrue.
The
God's
and
Rubik's
I
Cube.
think people really hearing other people's experiences is like more powerful for like flipping on switches in themselves as opposed to hearing like being preached to,
Right.
or at least this is, maybe it's just me. That's what I respond to more. Like when I'm listening, like if I listen to other people's podcasts and stuff and somebody's just like talking about their experience, I'm like, oh, it just like gives me different insights, or the things that don't resonate with me or outside of my personal experience. I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. Like I never thought of that before.
Right.
But it helps me to personally find my way through things, because I'll take the bits and pieces that I like and that resonate with me, and I'll use that, versus if I come across something and it turns into a lot of like, you should do this or you shouldn't do that, or you should, and I'm like, well, wait a second, I don't know. But this is me personally.
Right. Yeah, I'll be honest with people too. It's like, okay, I've done like the Army, for instance. I'm so proud of that. And I have so many cool stories I could harp on, but the reality of it is the beginning of it, taking all those steps, the preparedness, everything was terrifying. I was scared. I was miserable a lot of the time. And anything, as these humans, as we live in these human avatars, growth is gonna hurt. I mean, you lift muscles, your muscles are gonna hurt, but they only hurt really bad for that first once you started, So I used to picture, like 10 years ago, I had this breakup and it was really hard, but I got through it by picturing in my mind's eye my heart growing arms and lifting weights.
Oh, yeah.
And that helps. It like eased it a little bit. It's like, well, wow. And then, but telling someone, oh, someone better's coming, like it's all cliche, feel good stuff, but it's more like I've started doing when someone's complaining, I'll validate that complaint. I hurt. Good, hurt. You need to hurt, but don't let it define you.
You'll hold the bucket for them so they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll hold your hair back.
Well, no, and that's that whole thing with my mom. I was like, I'm gonna actually like remember this and use this from now on. Like, if I need that again, I'm like, just hold the bucket for me. And
I like that. I might title this "Hold the Bucket."
Hold the bucket, yeah. Just process. Just like, well, another thing too. I told her the reason why, like, I can't do it myself. If I just try to release all of that purely on my own, what happens is I just perseverate on it, and I can't get some distance from it. I can't actually fully get it out. I've never tried just recording myself and doing it. I do talk to myself a lot.
Me
like
too.
When I'm working out things, like I'll talk to myself, but the best way for me to process is to be able to, and I do it a lot with my mom, or my sister, where I just have to get it out. And so there's something, for me personally, there's something about having another person there who could just hold that space for me that really lets me get it out. So that's why that whole visual of just hold the bucket for me.
It's a real anchor.
But I think for other people have different methods. I think for my husband, he has to move it through his body. He has to go for a run. He has to go for go mountain biking or something. He's not going to move it all the way through himself if he just tries to do it verbally. He has to have the movement.
I write. I transmute it into songs and stuff. And some people will read lyrics and be like, "Oh, are you okay?" And it's like, I am now, because now it's on paper, And that might be a violent metaphor, but it's good. So, but
I think knowing, it's pretty powerful knowing what works individually, and knowing that that is there, and that is the tool, and as opposed to feeling like it's okay, let me put it this way. It's important and it's powerful to honor the process of it, as opposed to listening to other people, or old structures that say you're supposed to put a cap on that, or you're supposed to put that in the closet and not look at that, or you're not supposed to bring that up, or it's not okay to be uncomfortable or angry or whatever, that those things just do a disservice. And then we definitely feel it in our bodies because we haven't worked with moving out of it, and then allowing ourselves the time and space, like you did when you said, okay, we have to reschedule the recording because I really need to work through this. Like I 100% was not only totally fine with it, but also
I knew it.
Really proud of you for recognizing that.
I knew that would be the case, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. And also, excited for you too, that on the other side of it, it wasn't, I don't know if it felt like it took a long time or a short time in comparison to in the past, like old ways of processing.
Oh, way shorter, because I used to be defeated by it. Like I would be defeated. I would take an Adderall, because it would make me I still take it now, but I work with it better. But back when I first started, once the Adderall wore off, I was, wow, everything I just experienced for the last 8 hours was a delusion. And I'm through that now. Like I actually there's enough evidence, if you will, in my own heart that you could never really explain away to people. You can share your experiences, but things that line up in a certain way that there's no way that we don't co-create our own life. So.
Yeah.
And I think God or the source, the universe, whatever anyone wants to call it, they're not going to allow you to bypass anything if you really want to grow. You don't hold your hand through it, but you're going to go through it.
And like we brought up earlier, is that growing is hard, like to grow a muscle it can be physically uncomfortable. So, and that was part of the themes with the lacrosse team this season too, is like focusing on growth and not being afraid for it to be messy, and to make mistakes and just to learn and to, somebody, what did they say? You grow through what you go through.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it's like, it's really helpful, I think, to know that, there's a point to this discomfort. If you stay in it and you stay aware in it and you don't turn around and play the victim and just let it happen to you. And,
think of a gym bro. Like, either the first time you go to a gym, it's going to be painful. You're not going to want to go. But once you get in the habit, those guys love that stuff. Or hot yoga, do any of that stuff. They're miserable, but they're loving it, Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel now. Like, yeah, I have bad days, but there's most of the time, if I'm going through a challenge, I'm so aware of that it's teaching me something that I'm actually enjoying it. Like,
and the other thing I'll add to it, and that is an important point, what you said too, is that as you're going through it, like there's an awareness now of like that positive undercurrent. Like we were talking about, see, we're coming full circle. Is that the whole, like, am I empowered or am I a victim? Is that in the moment when it's challenging or we're feeling all of these emotions and we have to process, we don't have to, we can choose to process it or not. That is exactly what takes us out of the victim role, is by doing exactly what you did, saying like, I need to take this time to process. Like I need to do this and honor this. So when we don't know what to do, sometimes just giving ourselves space to process it is
find your favorite show and chill.
Yeah, is like the most powerful thing that the thing that we have control over, even though it feels like we don't have a lot of control as a lot of this stuff is coming up, but honoring it by taking time to allow it is the thing that is, some level of control that we have. So
exactly.
And that our bodies will feel better because it comes out.
Yes. There's people I talk to now, I'm like,
look, we just tied everything together.
That's how it goes. I tell people all the time, like, if you just talk kinder to yourself, 50% of your issues will probably disappear.
Yeah.
just talk kind. I mean, you got to be kind to yourself. And like, I'll listen to some people. I'm not going to say any names, but like, I care about them deeply. But I'll sit there and hear them just talking crap about themselves over and over again, and then waking up every day feeling like crap and saying I feel like
Yeah.
crap. And it's like, but we just did a positive circle. They're stuck in these negative ones, and I have actually said, like, gotten frustrated and be like, well, just go to a doctor. And they'll
Yeah.
look at me and be like, well, you're an asshole for that. And it's like, see, there's no winning with them at that point. So
Here's a new thing that I've started trying to remember to use with people when they're like that is because the mindset was a big thing also on the team this year. A lot of people were really in their head, and what I'm witnessing is like you cap your level of performance every time you start telling yourself, I suck, I can't catch the ball, I can't shoot. Like you cap yourself every single time. And I don't mean cap in the bad way, not the, whatever. What generation uses it? Gen Z or no,
millennial?
Anyway.
Not millennial. Yeah, who knows?
So that was an important thing, was like trying to teach people that, and they did learn, some of them did learn this, that their mindset was really the thing that was holding them back the most.
So important. Yeah.
What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, see, I lost it.
Well,
Wait, what were you saying about people get down on themselves?
yeah, they're like speaking it into existence.
This came to me today, and I really want to do this more often. Because I know intellectually that focusing on gratitude is really helpful for like raising your vibration and really shifting things. But I don't practice it enough. So today, earlier, when I was like trying to like touch up my grades for graduation, and I had to sit for like 20 minutes and just wait. And I was like, what am I gonna do for 20 minutes? And I can't put my glasses on to like read anything because I didn't want to get like the dye on them. So I just sat down on my bathroom floor and I was like, well, I guess I'll meditate. And like my brain's going through all the like, what am I going to focus on? Blah, blah, blah. And then I just tried to like, just kind of clear everything and just, like take some breaths. And then the gratitude popped up. And so I was like, yeah. And I just went into a place of being like focusing on some things that I was grateful for. And I really felt I felt myself like emotionally just kind of like buoy up a little,
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have to remember this. This is actually feels like, not that I was in a bad headspace before. I wasn't.
Right.
But I was in a chaotic headspace just because we have a lot of stuff going on over the next few days. But just sitting down and doing that, I was like, oh, that feels nice. When I had fully intended to like meditate, doing that instead, and it was funny because I knew I had my timer on my watch, and I got this feeling of like almost being like this is almost done, and I looked at my watch and I had 1 minute and 3 seconds left on before my timer went off. So I just like went back and I finished, and then it was like, okay, it's done, and then as soon as I felt like that and like opened my eyes, my alarm went off. So that whole like what that tells me too is that just getting into that space and that gratitude and that lightness, it connected me more, coming out of my head and more into my connection with with the energy field. So that was a good reminder.
Which, that's important. I mean, I've been working on more mental triggers to get back into that when I start focusing on the lack of this or lack of that, because everything right now is really good. Like my life is really good right now, and I'm so blessed and happy for that. But I'll still be like, but I'm looking forward to this, and then I'll be like, oh, whoa, I'm not lacking anything. Like, so it's an important practice for sure. I always encourage that.
Yeah. So I gotta really write it down. Maybe I'll put it on a sticky note on my mirror, because It's so easy, and yet I forget all the time.
You see, I say that too. Like, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to put it in my phone, and then my notification will come up the next day, and I'm like, who are you to tell me what to do past self? You know, like, I don't want to do that right now. So, but it's getting
Like,
easier.
I was trying to set you up for success.
So, well, I'll let you run. I know you guys got a busy day, and I got to go back to the office and do some more admin BS, GM stuff. Ugh.
All right.
But this was good. Like, that
Yeah,
flew by. It's already, we did an hour and 20 minutes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was good. Thank you.
I'll be in touch. We'll do this again soon.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good, well, I was going to say a long weekend, but it's all the same up on the mountain, right?
It's all the same. And I honestly am very happy to work here. Like, I don't even care that I always like, oh, I got to go do GM stuff. But deep down, I'm like, I get to do it. So
I know you love it.
So,
and you're doing a great job.
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.